Hi everyone, I'm back. Thank you so much if you have stuck with me all this time. I think it's been about 6 months since I made a new video. I might be wrong. So yeah, if you've stayed subscribed to me all this time, thank you so much for your patience. And if you're new here, my name's Amy and I mainly make videos about cross stitch or floss tubes as they're called. I do add other information in about other hobbies such as my knitting. I do diamond painting. Sometimes I do other things along the way, like recently I've been buying slimes and slime kits. I've been doing that with my son. Just to pre-warn everyone, my son is in the room, so you might hear little noises from him from time to time. He's playing on the Xbox, bless him, so he has been told to be quiet. He doesn't always listen. So I have tried to be quite organised today. I do want to do a WIP parade. I want to show you everything I've got down. I may do it in sections and I may end up sandwiching them together. I have written notes in my little pony notepad. Seeing the glare there, I'm hoping showing my projects actually goes okay. So in total I have 19 cross stitch projects. I have 5 knitting projects and I have 2 diamond projects. I have split them into sections, so I'm going to show you my heids, and I've got one other full coverage project. I've got 4 counted cross stitches and I've got 8 printed. So we're just going to jump into it, and then at the end of the video I will do a little bit of life update, tell you where I've been, what I've been up to. I've got an exciting announcement to make, and yeah, we'll just take from there. I know life updates aren't always for everyone, so I'll put that at the end so you can skip it or not watch it if you don't want to. So yeah, jumping into it, my heaven and earths. So I am going to be using my tablet to try and show you as much as possible. So first up, I'm going to start off with this one. I'm hoping the glare doesn't let me down. If it does, I will then end up putting pictures on screen. So this one is called it's a story keep. It's called Ripples, and it's by Stephanie. I'm going to say Steph Law because I can't pronounce the whole thing. And I've been doing this one on 25 count, and I've been doing 2 over 1. This is the only one throughout all my projects that I'm not going to take off the frame. As you can see, I've anchored it in. It would take a lot for me to undo it all. So I'll show you a bit closer up. This was my first ever Heaven and Earth I started, so it's not necessarily the neatest. And I think if I was to restart this and I had to keep the same project, I probably would still do it exactly the same, but I've gone from like cross country to rows to parking to not parking. I'd probably try and stick with one method. So I'll show you again. If you pay special attention to these trees here, this way. I think this video is confusing me because it's on a flip, but when I go to edit, I'll flip it round. So I can show you that those trees on here, if I try and zoom in, are actually these bottom ones here. So I'm really looking forward to getting to stitch the girl, if I'm honest. That's the bit I'm looking forward to the most. So if I come out of this, I can tell you how far I've done and how much I've done. So I love with Pattern Keeper, you can zoom out. So the glare is awful. Might have to not use the tablet. There you go. So yeah, I've still got quite a way to go. I finished one whole page and then a little segment. And I believe this one stems back from 2020. It might be 2021. So I'm 34.25% of the way through. And I've done 12,142 stitches out of 35,452 stitches. So I don't think that's too bad, really. As I say, I will try and link as many of these in the description as possible if you do fancy doing them yourself. In my notepad I have written them in order, so I'm going to try and do them in that order. So next up is, oh, open the PDF. This one's a mini. Again, these ones are all Heaven and Earth designs. So this one is Mini Babysitting, and it's by Linda Ravenscroft. Hopefully the glare's not too bad. Like that. This one, to me, this is like just the aesthetics I love completely. It's so whimsical, very cottagecore, and I just love her. She is beautiful. I love all the vibrant colours, the reds, the blues. I love all the little creatures. I just love everything about it. So I'm not stitching the background, the beigey colour background. Can you imagine how boring that would be? And that one is what I'm going to try and do actually. I've parked a lot on this, so there's going to be stitches and threads everywhere. What I will do is use a project bag actually. See, I always try and be organised and it never turns out that way. So during my absence, I actually did go through a lot of my projects. I think I had closer to 30 at one point and it was just too much. I even got rid of some of the ones that I'd been doing since like really back in the day. And I realised that if they'd taken me this long, I was never ever actually going to get around to doing them. So I UFO'd them and I feel so much better for doing so. And here we are. So you can see I have finished a whole page. I believe this one is 25 count as well. And I'll just have a look. So I'm doing, actually no, this looks a little bit smaller than the other one actually. This might be 28 count, but I am actually doing 2/1 full cross, and in doing so, it's made it so thick. But yeah, I haven't done this one in a little while, but I do need to get back to it. And what I'll do in the upcoming weeks is I will start setting myself goals on these. So if I go into it, I'll pop that down for a minute. I'm at 13.21% and I've done 9,382 stitches out of 71,007 stitches. And I'll zoom out and you can see, without the glare, there you go. I've done one full page in a bit. So this one's going to take a bit of work, but that's okay. I'm ready for it. I absolutely love Linda Ravenscroft designs. Unfortunately, I only actually got the chance to buy one chart. She decided to leave Heaven and Earth designs. I don't know too much about it, but it was something to do with not liking the fact that a lot of cross-stitch places, and I know Heaven and Earth have started doing so, they're starting to use AI images. And obviously if you're an artist and you've spent a lot of time on your pieces, I suppose, I don't know how it would feel. I don't know whether it'd be insulting, but I guess I know you wouldn't really flow with that. And I think, yeah, she's come away from it anyway. I think I would like to buy some of her art pieces just as prints, to be honest, going forward. Her artwork actually reminds me, I don't know if you guys have been, but if you go to Burley in the New Forest and it's sort of like a witch's village, and you have all these little whimsical shops and it's just so adorable. That's exactly what it reminds me of. I wonder if she does live near there or she's from around there. So next up I have, oh, let me drop the tablet. I have Tag Along by Hannah Lynn. And that one is, oh, this one's so sweet. So my mum's actually doing this one too, but because she's as blind as a bat. She's doing hers in 14 count or 16 count, and her one is huge in comparison to mine. I think, I want to say mine, oh, it says on the side of the fabric, mine's on 32 count, so mine's teeny weeny. And when I started this one, probably about a year ago, I think, I just couldn't put it down, and I got quite far on it. But I do have an issue with this. Maybe two issues. One's not really an issue. So that's my progress. And I don't know whether you can see, but her hair is actually sparkly. And I should have used Krennic, but I just didn't. I heard bad things about it. I couldn't really find the exact colour. So what I did was buy DMC Light Effects. And I can honestly tell you, it was horrific. It was the worst thing I've ever used in my life. I'm pretty sure I've zeroed that on this cross stitch now, and I will never, ever, ever use it again in my life. I don't know if you can quite see here, if it's going to focus. Come on. Anyway, it was sort of picking up the threads from the back and then getting like, pulling the fibres through, and it was just stressing me out. But I absolutely love some of the blending. I don't know if you can see that, like the greens, some of the blending in it. The penguins are adorable. And yeah, this one I know, this is just another one I know that if I just focused on it and stitched, I would get this done really quickly. The size of it is exactly what you see there. So that is it. It's a very small piece. So let's have a look. I can't remember if I said, but this one is actually a quick stitch as well. And open sesame, open chart. So I'm actually 42.66% through with this one, and I've done 9,406 stitches out of 22,050. And again, if I zoom out and it focuses, I really don't have that much to do. I think I was trying to work on colour completion. So if you can see there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've done 4 colour completions. Not masses, but there's so many more that are... It's just not going to focus me, is it? Like, I'm not being funny. There's not a lot of numbers left on some of these. So I just need to get on with it. So next up, this one is my absolute favourite, but what I'm doing with it slows down my stitching time completely. Actually, go back to the tag along. See, I'm becoming erratic already. I'm trying to see what I'm doing. I'm doing 2 over 1 tent stitch with this one. And I forgot to mention the other problem. I left a needle in it and it rusted. But luckily, once it's framed, you won't see that. So yeah, tent stitch definitely works up a lot quicker. I'm also doing tent stitch on this next one. This one's a huge piece of fabric. Huge. So let's try and have some order. So this one is Toile by Melanie Delon. In my head, I remembered buying this in like super max colours or whatever, but I don't think I actually did. I think I just bought the original in the end. This design probably won't be for everyone, but I love it. So in the design, you don't have the parental advisory. You just see her boobies. So what I'm doing different with this one is I am actually, I think it's the first time I bought easy grid fabric, and I decided I was going to colour complete. Ooh, I've just pulled my needle off. And which way round is it? I'm getting into such a tiz. I've started in the bottom corner, bottom left-hand corner. So you can see from this fabric, it is just monstrous. It is absolutely monstrous. So if I flip it around, you can see, I mean, that bit of fabric at the bottom is how much allowance I've given myself. So there is a bit extra. And I've just started with the black. So I'm going to try and finish. Cheeky. I'm going to try and finish all the black. I am doing tent stitch. And where's that needle gone? I can never remember how many threads I'm using. I'm using 2/1 tent stitch for this one. I had to buy 10 skeins of black, and I still wasn't 100% if it was going to cover everything, if I had to buy some more. Most of my Hades in particular, I just have a general box, and it's mixed. It's got CXC, it's got DMC. I don't really care too much because the sheer amount of confetti and stitches that you have, you're not going to notice if there's a tiny change in colours for the most part. But with this one, where there's so much block black, like you would just see if I suddenly started changing to a completely different shade, not a completely different shade, but you know, if the dye lots were different, you would really see that. So because I'm colour completing, I'm going to try and buy the DMC colour as and when I need it. So I think the next most colour after the black is 3799, which is a really dark grey. So I will be doing that next. So yeah, I'm just doing that on, I can't remember if I said or not, 32 count gridded, easy grid fabric. Even weave, I'm guessing. And if I go into the chart itself, it's scary how many stitches on this compared to all of my other charts, I think. So I am 2.83% through. I've done 10,061 stitches, and I've got 355,500 stitches to go. And I think it's pretty crazy that the black stitches, I've actually done more there than I have on the tag along one just before, and it doesn't look as much at all. But I guess it's going to take a while for me to actually see the picture, maybe a couple of colour completions. But I just have such a fire in my belly when I start these things, and I can't believe I then sort of push. I've got ADHD, so I have all this like excitement in me, and then I'm like, oh, squirrel, and then I go on to the next thing. So next in line is actually this one here, which I will get in a minute. It's called Amongst the Koi, and it's by Jasmine, Beckett, Griffiths. Sorry, the last one, I forgot to zoom all the way out. There's crazy amounts to do. How do you fix this glare when you're showing things? You just gotta wait for it to settle. There you go. So I've got a lot of charts on my pattern keeper, so please bear with me. View PDF. This one is stunning. I love it, but I must admit I don't enjoy stitching on it as much. So focus. There you go. Isn't she pretty? She is so pretty. And this isn't a quick stitch or anything like that, but it isn't a very massive design from what I can remember. So open chart. I decided to use pattern fabric for this, mainly because at the time, let me use something to back it. Does that work better? At the time, I really wanted to do 32 count, and this was all I had. My mum actually bought this for me, so she wasn't too happy that I'm doing a full coverage on it. She's like, oh, you're not going to see the pretty fabric. But truthfully, I don't do a lot of counted other than full coverages anyway, so I think it's good use. I got this scroll frame from a charity shop, I believe, for like 50p. I was like, oh, bargain. And the reason I don't like doing this is because, I'll hold it so I can see. So all this sort of skin colour, you do have big blocks of it, but it's sort of like you might have one stitch, miss one stitch, miss one, and then the next line you might do 3, miss 3, and it's sort of, I don't know, you have to really pay attention. It is a bit of a pain in the ass. But yeah, I think she's so pretty. It is going to be stunning. The colour blends. It is very confetti heavy. Very confetti heavy. And this is the one I've actually worked on most recently. Put that back there. I do struggle to try and keep these ones in the scroll frames clean, because obviously you can't just take them off easily and shove them in a bag. So I've got a pillowcase that I put on this one, and ripples, I put them together in the same pillowcase. And if I open the chart for this one, so I'm 4.42%, and I've done 4,328 stitches out of 98,000. And I'll zoom out so you can see. So quite a way to go, a very long way to go. And I can't remember if I said, oh, grab this one again. So I'm doing 2 over 1/10 stitch. I think what happened is I was doing my first few heids, found out about 10th stitch, and then I just saw the light. It is so much easier to do 10th stitch, and the fabric doesn't get as thick, so I think going forward that will be my chosen method of working. So where are we at? So I've got one more haid to show you, and that is Cradle by Moonlight by Molly Harrison. This was my second haid I ever started, and again I just fell in love with the design. I just had Sydney, and it was quite symbolic to me. Wait for it to focus. There you go. How blooming beautiful is that? The colours, the little baby, the stars in the sky. Well, stars in the sky. Well, yeah, she's sat on a rock, isn't she? And there's the moon. I even liked that you had the artist's signature in the bottom. So she designed this in 06. Sid wasn't born till 2020. And yeah, absolutely stunning. And this was my first cross stitch I started doing it on linen. And at first I was so confused, because those who have used linen, you understand, like the holes, they sort of shift. Like some holes are bigger than others, and the threads in between, I don't know what you'd call it, you know, like the weave that creates the fabric, it just shifts, and it can be quite difficult. I'm sorry, what I'm using to hold this up is pattern behind, so I hope it doesn't look so awful. But this is where I am. And I can remember when I finished that star, I was just like, wow, that looks absolutely stunning. So what I'm working on currently, although I haven't picked this up in a while, is the moon. And all these whites is absolutely heinous to work on. I don't know if you can see properly these stitches. It's not my neatest stitch in at all. Linen is a bit of a, ugh. But yeah, I just love it. So pretty. It looks so good. And you can see from the fabric, it's not the biggest design. I've got a feeling it's only 4 pages long. But this is another one that I can't remember the count. I want to say this is 25 count, but I'm doing 2 over 1 full cross. So again, like the fabric's so thick. Let's have a look. Go into the chart. Open chart. So I am 21.75% through. I've done 9,362 stitches, and I've got 43,050 to go. Actually, no, I keep saying to go, but it's 43,050 in total, I believe. So those who use Pattern Keeper will get me. They'll know what I mean. So it's actually 4 full pages, 2 half pages, and then 3 little segments. Focus. There you go. So yeah, not too shabby, not too bad. And then finally I have one more full coverage, and surprisingly it's not a hem and enough. So I know they're very popular in the cross stitch world, but I've not long found out about them. That is unconventional cross stitch. Again, I will link this one below, and some people might guess what this is the second I mention ferrets, but I saw this design and she had a little ferret pal, and I used to keep ferrets. I used to have loads. I had like, I think 8 at one point, and they used to just roam freely in my house, and that feels like a lifetime ago. They absolutely destroyed our house. But yeah, they were my babies, so this chart just meant something to me. And you can just see it's such a stunning design. The ferret on her back actually reminds me of a ferret I had called Potato, and he absolutely hated me for some reason. He seemed to love like the men around us, but me, he used to just gun for me. He was an evil little sod. He wasn't evil, he was misunderstood. I still loved him dearly. So this one, again, I thought I would go in for the colour completion. So I've started with 3865, which is like a cream colour. I'm just going to jump in and show you how much I've done so far, because it's not masses. So you probably can't tell, but there's a tiny, tiny little bit of cream in the top corner. Is it going to focus? I don't know if you're going to be able to see it on here. So I've done 1,638 stitches out of 233,750 stitches, which is 0.70%. And again, I waited and waited to do this one. I started it and then I was like, oh. And this is 32 count easy grid. Because I'm colour completing, I just wanted to jump all over the place. And I mean, you can see the fabric's not massive. It is still fairly big. And I've literally just done this bit here. Something interesting though, because I've darted around, look at my back. How crazy is that? Can you see it? It's like swirly. I'll try and hide, I want it to focus. But yeah, madness. So that's all of my full coverage. So what I'm probably going to do now is I'm going to cut the video. I'm going to put all of these away, and then I'm going to come back and do my counted and my printed. So there's only 4 counted and 8 printed together, so 12. And then after that, that gives me my 19 in total. So yeah, I'll be back in a second. So I just took a little bit of time. I decided not to pull the printed ones out as well. So I will do the 4 counted, and then I will have a little break again. For me, I feel like if I pull everything out, it's going to stay out and it's just going to stay all over my table. I will talk about my life update at the end, and you'll understand why. I need to be a bit more methodical with what I'm doing. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So first up, I've got this one from Joy Sunday, and if you've been watching my videos for a while, you will remember that I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with this one. My hate for it has sort of changed somewhat. So before, it used to be the fact that it's all neutral colours. But truthfully, I worked a lot on this one, and I have made peace with it, and I really enjoyed stitching on it. So these are the colours. They are in a bit of a tangle, but yeah, they're just, you can tell by the picture, lots of rich browns. You've got some darker like browns, blacks, greys to sort of highlight it. Sydney. And then, so my major hate for it now is to do with the charting and the back stitch. So on the chart, the back stitch is logged. The back stitch is shown on the chart in about 5 different colours, but 2 of the whites are shown in bright pink and another bright pink line, and I can't tell the difference between the 2 of them. And the colour the difference in colours is a cream and a white. So I suppose they could be used either or, and it's actually not going to matter if I get it wrong. So what I've had to do, and I mean you can't even see on this really, it's mainly for like out here. So you've got some darker cream. I'm trying to see. You've got some darker cream here, and then you might have some white here. So I have just been trying to follow the picture the best I can. But yeah, it's impossible. It is impossible. But hopefully it just doesn't matter. And I've got the same issue with some of the darker outlining. So some of it is black, and then I think some of it is dark grey from memory. But I'm not at that part yet. So I'll worry about that when I get to it. So I've actually now finished a complete page on this one. Obviously it's not full coverage, so it's not the biggest page. Where's the picture? Okay. Do it like that. So yeah, I think this one's going to be awesome when it's done. So what I did actually do is I did all the back stitch for this page as well. I really didn't fancy going back to that. I don't know if you can see too well, but there is so much back stitch on this. All in her hair, her face, the books covered in it, here, her legs. All of this is back stitch, some more here. I think that took me about 3 or 4 days of solid just sitting there and back stitching. But I think it's just going to look awesome when it's done. So that is by Joy Sunday. I can't remember where I actually got that from, but what I will do is I'll look through the popular sites that I tend to use or have used previously and see if it's on there. It might be that it was just an Amazon. No, I do remember it was a gift. So my mum bought me it for Christmas one year. So I can imagine she probably bought it off Amazon. I will look for it and I will link it below if I can find it. So next up, I love this one. So I love owls. I have owl ornaments. I'm looking that way because I've got them above my mirror. I've got them around my TV. I've done other owl cross stitches before. So a lovely, lovely woman on Facebook, probably about 5 years ago now, was giving this one away. So I jumped the chance. I was like, yes, please. I want it. I want it. And amazingly, she sent me the fabric to do this either on Ada or a 28 count even weave. So I went with the even weave. I haven't got the colours out for this one because they're sort of all on like skeins. It is an anchor kit. I've looked for this one previously and I couldn't find it, so I probably won't be able to link this one below. But I'm happy to give the chart away when I've done, if anyone's really interested in it. And yeah, I love this one. I love it. It's so beautiful. I do tend to pick charts. I need to stop leaving my needles in the fabric because it rusts them. I think owls are quite nostalgic for me as well, because when I was really young, probably about Sid's age, I had a friend, and in her garden, in a shed, she had a barn owl called Abby. And yeah, whenever I see barn owls in particular, I don't know, I'm brought back to my childhood. I haven't done masses of this one. I'm trying to show it without the crease. Look at his little face. So cute. And I think, yeah, it's got to be this one here. Adorable. Why can't I show it without big crease? So yeah, still quite a lot to go on this one. To be honest, as soon as I discovered, so I used to always do counted cross stitch and it was always on 14 count. I finished loads over the years, and that was never an issue. As soon as I discovered I discovered Heaven and Earth Designs shortly after picking cross stitch back up, back in COVID times. And as soon as I did, now stitching on 14 count just feels absolutely massive for me. So the Dragon Girl I've just showed you is on 14 count. This one is actually on a 28 count even weave, but it's 2 over 2, so it's still 14 count really. If anything, I don't like doing it over 2 because it confuses me a little bit, and then it takes me a lot longer to stitch. There has been times when I've done 2 over 2 absolutely fine, and then on the next row I forget and I do 2 over 1, and then I have to sort of unpick it, and my stitches don't align. So I think going forward I'd rather do 2 over 1, 28 count, and the design would just be smaller that way. So next up, again, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with this. This is a 14 count kit. It's by Bothy Threads, and it's called Moo. And it's a Rendell Designs, and you can't see because it's in a different area of the room, but I love Rendell in general. I have like coasters and I have prints on my wall with Rendell, and when we move house I'm going to probably buy Rendell kitchen stuff, so like you can get counter savers and stuff like that. However, I am not loving cross stitching this at all. I think it's just all the browns, and there's no like defined bit of pattern, like it's just swirly bits of brown really. So obviously I started in the middle, I started on the nose, and I think as soon as I finish the nose and the tongue, that is just going to be it. It's going to be just swirly brown. I do love the fabric that comes with the Rendells though, the spotty fabric. I can't tell which way round it is. I can't tell which way round it is, if I'm honest. I'm going to go with that way. I fold that. So I haven't done masses. My mum bought this for me for Christmas. Again, I've put the needle in the thing. Anyway, my mum bought me this for my birthday or Christmas, probably about 2 or 3 years ago. Probably longer, actually. And I just don't love it. I very nearly got rid of this one. But I do love the finished design. So I will persevere. And the thing is, you never know, like, it's happened to me so many times, like I might genuinely hate doing one, and then I pick it up again. I did get the threads out, please. You can see it is just browns pretty much. Yeah, I might hate doing it, and then I'm in a completely different mindset the next time I pick it up, and I start to just love it, and I can't put it down again. So yeah, last up is actually the very first cross stitch I picked up after my break from cross stitch, and I still haven't finished it. This is back in 2020. Again, Sid had just been born, and this is a kit by Jannlyn. It's a very old kit. I'm not sure you'd be able to find this very easily unless you eBayed it. I think I eBayed it at the time. And again, very symbolic of a mum. I was a new mum and her little baby. I do like stitching on dark fabric, especially when it's bright colours. And I really enjoyed stitching on this for a long time. And I don't know whether it was, again, the transition to stitching on Haid, and then after that I sort of discovered the printed cross stitch. But I don't know, I hit a wall. That's how far I've got. So you can see I really don't have that much more to go. I first completed the moon in its entirety. And then I went on to the baby. And then I did her arm. I'm probably going to do her face and then finish the dress. There is some krennic that goes into this. I'll show you. Cereal boxes are really good if you want to make your own thing. Thread sorter. These are in a bit of a tangled mess actually. So I don't know if you can see that. But I have got some Krennic. I've also got some silvery colour. And yeah, so there are some nice vibrant colours on this. They just get a bit samey. It's like they're different colours but they're the same tone almost. I can't describe it. But isn't it crazy that the art of stitching is just, well, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, a change in colour can do so much to entertain you through the next part of the cross stitch. I always find that quite funny. So that's my 4 counted. So again, I'm going to go put these away and I will get my printed ones out. So I've got 8 printed. When I discovered printed cross stitch, I must admit, I fell in love because I don't really have to think. I have such a busy life where there's always Sid or a stepbrother running around. I always have to get up and down. So it was just so easy to have something that I could just throw down and then go back to so easily. I think I got quite caught up in that. And I mean, this one was printed. The glare's gone actually, my flower hedgehog. And I absolutely love that one. So I'm going to put this away, get those out, and then we'll jump back into it. I am back. Getting all of those out was a bit of a task, truthfully. I'm sorry if the camera's moved at all. So let's just jump straight into it. I may not have pictures for all of these, and the ones I don't, I will try and insert a picture. I can't always remember where I got all of these. Either Sydney, be quiet. So yeah. I will try and put as much information as possible in. I might have to go back through like my purchase history. Some of these were sent to me as freebies for doing unboxing videos as well. So I'll try and do a lot of this from memory. But again, I will try and edit the description box afterwards. So the first one, I know for a fact I got this off Temu. And it is my initial. And I paid something ridiculous for this. I want to say it was like £1.50 or something. I will apologise now. I don't know if you can hear it, but next door are doing lots of construction work. So currently they've got, I don't even know what they're called, like the drill things. It's just relentless. So yeah, Sydney. Yeah. Shh. He like sort of whitters to himself. Bless him. So yeah, that's that one. And I haven't made the biggest starts on this. Truthfully, I've been taking this to work with me. But that's all I've done is this purple stitch in here. And with this one, because it's so simple, I'm just going to try and colour complete each one. So I'm going to put that there. The colours are really pretty on this. So next up, I always call this one Tracey's one because she sent it to me. So Tracey at a world of, I never know if it's a world of stitching, world of cross stitching, but I will tag her below. And yeah, she kindly sent me this one. Sydney! Be quiet, child, if only for 10 minutes. I haven't just sat here and made him be quiet for like 45 minutes. When I've been pausing it, I haven't been interacting with him. Sydney! You are, but I'm trying to do my video. So yeah, this lovely geisha girl. I've got no idea where this one came from. I'm just glad I've got a picture. And when she sent me this, I think she'd only done this patch of blue in the corner. There wasn't a lot of stitching done on it. These are always really hard to show how much you've done. I think I've done a fair bit. I can show you my back. It's never that neat. So I have done a fair bit. And I just think this is going to come out so lovely. And I do enjoy stitching on this one. I just haven't picked it up in a little while. He's still singing. So next up is, Oh, and I meant to say, both of these are 11 counts. This next one is also an 11 count. I'm not too sure how well this one will come out because this is a Temu one. They're never like the best quality printed kits from Temu, really. And I want this one finished for something that I will talk about as my big announcement, and it will go in my landing. My partner and I, don't get me wrong, like, I'm not the most massive Lord of the Rings fan. I think I prefer The Hobbit, like the book, The Hobbit. When we were quite newly together, we went and actually stayed in a hobbit hole in Wales, and it was just so lovely. Apart from the fact that I had pancreatitis, and the next day when we drove home, I literally got him to drive me straight to A&E. I was so ill, but it was still like nice memories being in a hobbit hole in the Brecon Beacons. And this one, I started on a whim actually one evening. I really haven't done much. So, can you see where I've done? I've literally done a little bit of purple. That's it. But because there's so much block colour, I don't think you're going to get the finer detail on this one, unfortunately. As I say, this was a Temu one. When I found that you could buy printed cross stitches on Temu, I think I spent about £50, and the parcel I had was huge. I mean, some of them were £1.50 each, some of them were £3.48 each, and yeah, they're not expensive. So next up is an 11 count, and again, Tracey, who I've just mentioned, she's doing this one too. We're stitching on different areas, but is this very sweet Jellybean Cat. And this is actually part of a series. You can get one with a goat in a cookie jar. I've got kittens that are in teacups, I think, and then there's a bat, that's Battenberg, and they're so cute. They're so cute. And this is the one that I've actually worked on the most. I have got a bit of thread hanging on. I don't think I'm going to move it. I don't know how well this is going to come out. I think the colours are a bit weird, especially like the reds. Maybe it will come together at the end. So again, I will show you my back. The back is horrific, but you can see I've done a lot of this. And I think through seeing the back, you can really see the picture coming together as well. I mean, I do jump squares often, very often. But yeah, I just having this out now makes me want to stitch on it. So I will stitch on it. So next up, again, I can't remember where I got this one from. I've got a feeling this one might have been sent to me. I will try and remember. And it's this design here. The fact that it has a picture makes me want to say it's Temu, because a lot of the ones on Temu do come with pictures. And how pretty is that? I just love the colours on them. And again, this is one that I haven't done masses on. I was trying to do Royal Rose, so that's all I've done so far. But truthfully, through parking and doing Royal Rose, I think it's just getting quite thick. So I might stop that. That's it overall. And that's the back. This one, I think this is 11 count too. Yeah, so nice, so pretty. So next up is an 11 count one. And so Sydney and I went through a phase of listening to the soundtrack to Frozen, which is why I picked this one. This one was sent to me, and I don't think the picture's that great. But I'd recently done and frogged a tangled one of these, and the colours just weren't coming out. You couldn't tell the faces or anything. So what I did with this one is I started on Anna's face because I just wanted to see, because that's like one of the smaller details. If that came out okay, then the rest of the cross stitch was going to come out okay. And I was right. So this is a really big bit of fabric. So what I'll do is just show you her face. And yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I mean, it's about 1 metre long, I believe. So you can see it's huge. It's very huge. And my progress is, done a bit of blue up there, Anna, and a bit of blue there. And that's it really so far. I find because of the length on this, it's not the easiest one to stitch on. But I do, again, and this one I do really enjoy. So I need to just get on it really. So next up, I know I don't have a picture for this. This one's a 16 count, and my word, it seems so small compared to the others. Again, I think Tracey had this one and the ink wasn't coming off, so she washed it. So what I decided to do was just dunk the very corner to see if the corner would come off, and it did. But unfortunately, the water then travelled all the way up. So what I've decided is to start at the bottom and try and cover this bit using the chart, and then I can carry on with the printed. So all I've done on this so far is the very bottom lines in cream. So all of the blue on this cross stitch is cream. So it's going to be a bit of a slog. As I said, I will insert a picture. And this was one that was sent to me for free. So I want to say this was probably from WIP Cross Stitch. I will have a look through my old videos because I would have done an unboxing at the time. So yeah, pretty happy with that. And then lastly is something a little bit different. And that's my Vivacco cushion, hedgehog cushion. I'm kind of laughing because on my notes I put owl pillow. Like, I can't differentiate between my animals these days, clearly. And this one I've actually got quite far on, so I don't know why I don't just knuckle down and get it done. Ta-da! So all I've got left to do is this sort of corner. You can see that way. That's all I've got left to do. And then what you do is you stitch it onto a pillow backing kit, which I've already bought as well. And yeah. So this is something that, when I tell you my announcement, would be good for as well. I think I've already mentioned it, so you might have guessed what my announcement is anyway. So yeah, they're my printed ones. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause again. I'm going to go and get my knitting projects. I don't know if I want to show my diamond paintings. I've only got 2 and they're very small ones and I don't really work on them that much. So yeah, I might leave the diamond paintings out. I'll show you my knitted projects. I'll take a lot of this stuff upstairs because it's becoming a bit overwhelming now. And then straight after my knitted projects, I will do my life update and then finish the video. So yeah, I'll be back in a second. I actually found that I have... I do have 5 knitting projects, but I actually found 1 crochet project too, and I don't know if I'm going to finish it. I just don't know. I'm not really a crocheter. I know how to crochet, kind of. So I tried to get into it a little bit, and I made this mitten. It's supposed to be for my mum. So I actually finished this little bag and my friend loved it. So I gave her this little bag that I had. And then, yeah, I straight after went on to this. I can't remember what the pattern is. So again, I will link it below. It's a free pattern. But seeing it like this, I think I will try and finish this. Finish the other one anyway. So yeah. That's my 1 crochet project. I love the colours I used, but I kind of wish I did the whole thing green and then did the highlighting colour as this beige. But we'll see, we'll go back to it, we'll see. So I'm not very good at remembering like pattern names or where they come from, and quite often I have to go back into Ravelry and try and find them again. So next up, I am making a pair of socks, and I had this really old, it's battered, it is actually battered, sock pattern. So you can make 4 pairs, or is it? It might actually be 2 pairs, but these first 3, they're the same socks, they're just in different sizes, and you can also do like a contrasting cuff and heel and toe. So I opted just to do the plain one, only because the wool I'm using, again, I'm not too 100%, if I haven't got the band, if I haven't got the band to the wool, I'm not going to be 100%. I will try and put on screen for those who care. And it's this lovely wool here. I bought this from a shop called Yarn Fest, which was in Thatcham, and unfortunately it closed down. But it was sort of in the countryside, you had a field of cows next to it, and I absolutely loved that shop. So when I knew it was closing down, I went and I just spent a small fortune, I think close to £100, on their clearance wool, and I mainly got 4-ply, but the colour changes in this is amazing. So I've never made socks before, I need to add as well, so I don't think I'm doing too badly. So I started with a top down sock, and yeah, I really love the colour changes. Unfortunately, I've got some weird line here, but I think it's to do with the heel turning. But overall, I think I did a pretty good job. And I'm sort of coming to the end of the foot, and I'll be doing the toes soon. I just hope that I don't lose interest like the mitten, because that's what I do. I am a really slow knitter, so I don't really flick the yarn. I can kind of knit continentally, but again, it's a slow process. So what I tend to do is put my needle through, hold both needles with one hand, wrap it round. So it takes me a long time, but I think my knitting is very neat, so I'm okay with that. And yeah, it fits. I've tried it on. I actually went on Amazon and treated myself to a set of DPNs with all the sizes. Weirdly enough, there's one size that isn't in there and I thought was strange. I want to say it's like a 3.25, which is quite a common size in sock knitting, so that was a bit annoying. So yeah, I've got that one. Next up is my absolute favourite project. I love knitting on this. And the pattern is called J Sweater. And I mean, I'm not a small lady, so knitting in my size, so I'm a size 22, it does mean there's a lot of stitches on the round, there's a lot of yarn that needs to be purchased. So this, it's on quite small needles in terms of the round, so it is bunched up a bit. But I did knit the first bit, like, what do you call it, like the yoke, very quickly. And now I'm on the bit where I just have to knit the length of my body. The arms are on needle holders. So again, it is taking me a long time. Although, I think I had about a week where I did, like, from the armholes down. Sometimes when my mum's around, I'm like, do a few rows for me as well. She's very quick at knitting. And my mum is actually, she started months after me. She's doing the same sweater and she's practically finished already. I always say she doesn't have the same distractions as me. I can't try this on because of the size of the needles I've got on. Unfortunately, I just can't get them over my body without pulling stitches off. But I've actually lost about a stone in the last month, maybe. So I'm just hoping I finish this and it's not too big by the time I finally get to wear it. which will probably be next summer. But yeah, I will link the pattern because it's a free pattern. I will link it below. And it's just a really nice design to do. I think I have gone a bit wrong in some of the stranded bits. But you can't tell. You can't. And yeah, we're just excited. I've nearly finished a sweater. So next up is another sweater actually. And I can't remember what this one's called. It's a cardigan. And I really wanted to use super chunky because well, it just knits up so quickly, and as a slow knitter, I thought if I started just before Christmas, I thought I could get it done really quickly and I'd have something to wear during winter. Boy, was I wrong. And also, I think I've come to the decision that it's almost like super chunky yarn is not the right scale for us to wear clothes with, if that makes sense. Like do you know, like if you knit something for a Barbie doll and you use like Aran or chunkier, it just doesn't look the right scale. That's how I feel about human knitting with this. So I have finished the back. It's quite a long cardigan. And it's cabled. However, it stands up out like a sore thumb holding it out. I have gone wrong here on the cable, and I did go wrong here. And I think I went wrong there at the bottom as well. So I think knowing that I went wrong put me off continuing. I mean, it will definitely fit. If anything, it might be a bit big. But I think I should just continue. If anything, it could just be a really warm, like, house jacket if I don't feel confident wearing it out. And what I've done is started on one of the sides, so this does knit up really quickly. And this one was the long tail cast on method, and I left way too much yarn to do that. But for me, it's a learning experience. I've actually been a knitter for probably over 20 years now, and I've never been great at knitting garments. I used to knit toys all the time, which brings me to my last one. So the last one is a mouse. I'm supposed to knit clothes for her. And this is a really old Litz Knit magazine. December 2022. And I've actually practically finished the mouse. And I had done a very long time ago. She looks very wonky now. I've sewn her together. And again, I just get this far and I just haven't finished the clothes. I haven't finished knitting the clothes. And she needs a little I-cord tail as well. But now Sydney's a bit older, I'm thinking like, no one's going to really want her, which is kind of sad. And I think that's the problem I get with crafting. Cross stitch is fine, right? Because you cross stitch, it goes on the wall. But when you make things such as garments or you make toys, it's like toys, they just end up in a toy box somewhere and forgotten about, or they take up too much space. And jumpers, you could just keep knitting yourself jumpers, but there is going to come a point where you don't have any more room to store all these things. So I think that is what puts me off with crafting in general. And I think I said that was the last one and I was lying. This next project, I mean, I'll put a finished picture on the screen to see, so you can see what I mean. It is amazing. It is like, it's like the heaven and earth of the knitting world, because it's going to take years and years. So basically, it's a hexy puff blanket, and it's supposed to be made out of scrap yarn. And basically, you make all these little hexagons. I mean, some of them come out of it, a bit on the wonk. And what you're supposed to do is, when they're finished, you don't even stitch them together. You like kind of make ties in each of the corners, so it's got a bit of flexibility to it. And you make this giant puff. And I mean, I don't think I want to get all of them out of the bag actually, but I've probably got around 12 so far. And to make a double, I think you need, I remember thinking it was like the same amount as the days of the year or something like that, 365 maybe. And what you do is you knit it on 2 deep ends, and then you've got a third, and you just keep knitting round. And then when you're near the top, you stuff it and use a crochet hook to close. I mean, I've got this tiny little ball of sock yarn, I think it is, and my goal is to mainly use greens, and I've decided I'm going to use browns as well to make sort of like a more of an earthy coloured quilt. This is a pay pattern, but again, I will link it in Ravelry. But yeah, so that's me with knitting, and that's all of my WIPs really, apart from my 2 diamond paintings, which I'm just not going to show. I don't see much point. I will move on now to my life update. So if you've stuck around this far, thank you so much. And if you want to hear what I've been up to, then please do stay. It's always nice to have you. But again, I do understand if not, and if not, I'll see you around, and I hope you come back for my crafting updates going forward. So life update. Where do I even start? So basically, Sid started school in September last year. I'm probably going to be a little bit candid with how I speak because he is in the room. So he started school in September last year, and for probably about 2 weeks, it was like he was loving life. Like, school's great, he loved going. And don't get me wrong, he still loved going, even when the issues started. So after a week or so, I started getting a lot of phone calls. Sid's done this. Sid's not settling in class. Sid's misbehaving, which I thought, oh, that's weird. So we tried to put things in place to help him settle. Anyway, come sort of like October time, they started suspending him and actually like kicking him out of school basically for weeks at a time. It started off as a few days, because he was getting so dysregulated. He was lashing out and hurting other people.
I was lashing out at
you can hear me.
Defeating them.
He's defeating
That's
them.
Nice.
Anyway, so we were obviously having lots of meetings in the school, and I was saying, like, I'd never seen any behaviour like this. He's such a kind, patient, sweet boy. It just made no sense whatsoever. So they started to get the SEND team involved, and they were like, we're pretty certain he's got ADHD and autism, but we can't obviously diagnose him. Anyway, the waiting list to get diagnosis in England, well, I don't know about England, but where we are, is about 3 years. And it was getting to the point where he couldn't stay at school. I mean, I run my own department at work, so I was getting called out of work constantly, and it was getting to the point where I was like, my boss is going to fire me soon. I know they can't, but they weren't happy, and I understand why. Like, if you're running a business, you need someone who's going to be, like, there. So through all this, obviously, I was sick with worry. The school then decided to send, not social services, but like a step before that, like a key worker to our home. And I was thinking, like, what have I done? What have I done that's so wrong? And I should say the school just wasn't nice to us throughout this. It was like they were trying to catch us out. They tried to accuse him of just having like behavioural issues rather than like an additional learning need. They were accusing of us of having like no boundaries for him, which isn't the case. If anything, actually, I'm quite strict. They were saying, because he's always hungry, they were saying we don't feed him enough, like all these crazy things. Anyway, the key worker comes into our house, and she like literally gets through the threshold, and she's like, obviously people are good at hiding things, but I can already tell, like, just by looking at your home, that this is like a nice family home. Like, you have a nice space, it's clean, you can see that he's got things to play with to stimulate him, you can see like there's love there, you can see like his photos are on the wall. She obviously observed how I was with Sid, and she could tell that we had or have a really close bond. And I mean, at this point, I was like probably the lowest I've ever felt in my life, because I'm trying not to get emotional now. Basically, I've always wanted to be a mum. I didn't have Sid until I was in my 30s. We had fertility issues, and then by the time I had Sid, for me, he really like grounded me, and I settled right down. I was a bit of a party animal before that, and I've done everything in my power, as you do as a mother, to give him everything, like to give him the best chance in life. So anyway, we continued working with the family worker until recently, but mainly because she said she used to just love coming around here. She used to love spending time with us. She always put in her reports like, we don't really need her help. The school was trying to make us do parenting courses, and she was like, I can give them to you, like if you want to show the school that you're doing it, but I don't think you don't need them. And I'm the sort of person that if I have a problem, I'm like straight online, or I'll call my doctor and I'll say like, look, how do I get around this problem? And I mean, I've tried like behavioural reward charts. We were trying like changing his diet and stuff like this. And after a while, I decided to say enough's enough, and I took him to a child psychologist, and I went private. And I mean, it was near on £2,000. It absolutely bankrupted us. And it came back that he doesn't have behavioural issues. He's got autism and probably ADHD. Now, I went back to the school with this diagnosis, and by this point he'd been suspended for probably about 15 to 20 days throughout the 3 or 4 very short months that he was at school. And they were not having any of it. They were aggressive towards us. They were talking over us. My partner turned around and said like, I'm not a pupil, please don't talk over me, I just want to finish my sentence. And the teacher literally stormed out of the room. Like, that's how hostile it was. And we were like, we're both like working professionals. We're not, as awful as it sounds, like we're not, how would you call them, like waifs and strays or whatever. Like we're decent people. Like, why not treat us like that? There'd been times when they told Sid if he behaves that way, like, and he was older, they would get the police involved. Like, he's 4, you don't talk to people like that. So by this point, my mental health was horrific. Like, I was panicking about work. My boss was like, you need to sort something out. Like, I've been really patient so far. What are you going to do? And I think the meeting came where the teacher stormed out, and I went home. I cried a lot. And I said to my other half, enough's enough. So I deregistered him from school. And since Christmas, he's been homeschooled. Again, my boss has been really flexible with me, but it's not ideal. So now I'm at home with Sid all day. He's got the attention span of about 3 minutes if it's something he doesn't want to do. Like, he's playing Minecraft now, and obviously you don't want your kids to be in front of screens, but he would probably sit there for hours playing that. But if I wanted him to do like phonics lessons for me, he's got an attention span of probably about 3 minutes. So where my mental health hasn't been its best, there has been a lot of lazy days where we've been laying in our pajamas, watching TV, or laying upstairs in my room on tablets, which isn't ideal. And it's never been the mum that I've like wanted to be. So anyway, my work, I've been at home all day with Sid, starting work at 7 in the evening till midnight, Tuesday to Friday, and then working on Saturdays. And in the last few weeks, I've just absolutely reached complete burnout. And I mean, I'm not ashamed to say it, I've now got some antidepressants from the doctor because I recognised that I needed some help, because you can't be a good mum if you can't look after yourself, you know. So anyway, I've done that. I'm probably way oversharing with the internet now. And I've been on them for about 30 days now, actually. So this, like, calling the doctor was a little while back. And they've really started to help me. However, I think come like Friday of last week, I just reached absolute burnout. And I realised that me trying to juggle everything with Sid and doing my job just sort of, it overwhelmed me, you know. So what I've done is I have asked to be signed off for the next week. It's just little things like my laundry basket's overflowing, trying to get up in the mornings and make sure he's happy because he is very demanding. Just, yeah, trying to get on top of things. And I think I feel good about myself for recognising that. So anyway, our big announcement. So obviously I can't keep working like this long term. I'm reaching burnout so quickly. However, we live in the south of England, we live in Reading, and it's so expensive to live here. I mean, our rent is over half my wages every single month. So luckily, my partner has had an inheritance sat in a bank for a long time. His dad won't give it to him unless it goes on property. We can't get a mortgage in Reading. The amount the banks would give us still wouldn't buy a 2-bedroom property in Reading. So we've made the big decision to buy a house in Wales. We are moving to Wales and we're moving to the valleys, and we've found a house already. We've put an offer in and we're just going through the process of obviously solicitors. I can't wait. I've wanted to move out of Reading for so long now, and I think I joked earlier, but genuinely I think, like, I do have ADHD as well, and I think when you reach that level of like burnout, it's good to like have a fresh start, try and regulate again, because I am very dysregulated myself currently. Obviously I'm logical enough to recognise that and try and help myself. And what it means for us is that we would be mortgage free, which means we could live off my partner's wage. We wouldn't have masses of money, but we could live off my partner's wage. And come September, we can start getting Sid back into school, or probably sooner actually, with the knowledge that he's got this diagnosis and it will be a slow integration into school. We're going to get a dog. I'm going to spend my days walking up in the mountains. I'm probably going to start my Etsy again, Sid and Stitch again. And yeah, I can't see anything negative about this move, because living in a place that is so expensive is just absolutely stifling. I mean, everything's expensive now, but when it comes to the point to like, I mean, even the local farms around here to go like with us, like 2 adults and 2 children, is like £78. Like, how do people afford to live and do things? And I know I'm not the best with money anyway, but yeah, so that's my news. Not the most positive of updates, and that's why I haven't been on here. It's why I haven't done much crafts, because quite frankly my time has been spent fighting the education system or sleeping because I've not felt great. Hi buddy, do you want to come and say hello to my video, to the people of YouTube?
Hello.
They probably haven't seen you in a while.
Hello.
Big boy, he's 5 now. He's too cool for school, right? I was saying about our move to Wales.
Yeah.
Are you excited? Yeah. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Woohoo!
Woohoo.
So, anyway, guys, if you've made it this far, thanks for listening. If you are actually in the valleys or in South Wales, message me, because I would love to meet some friends in real life. I don't have masses of friends. Probably because we're crazy. We're crazy here. We're crazy. Minecraft boy. Love. So yeah. And that's us. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.